We are live on YouTube. Howdy, Avenge Yourself. That's what we're going to talk about today. Howdy, we are live. Avenge Yourself. That's what we're talking about today. Took me a second here, a few technical difficulties. My partner is so awesome, and he got me a very fancy, cool camera that I couldn't get it to recognize. So took me a second to, I'm not using it. So this is the old fancy camera. We'll get the new one going next week, for sure. So we're avenging ourselves today. We're going to talk about avenging yourself. What does that mean exactly? Let's see something real quick here. Okay, just checking a few things. So say hello if you can see me. It's always so lonely at first. It always takes a moment, literally a moment. There's Peggy, yay! So I'm going to dive right in because I know people will come on in as they come on in. So we have so many cool things happening with within Gatekeepers, some cool announcements coming down the pike. But I'm going to dive into the topic today because we do have a handout. Ding! We need sound effects. Ding! Handout. Ding! Hi, Doug. So I couldn't get the camera to work. I love the new fancy camera, but YouTube wouldn't recognize it. So I got to work on that. Anywho. What's up? What's up? So avenging yourself, what does that mean exactly? We are moving into, it's almost June. It's June. Everybody's like, yeah. And we have movie night coming up in the Screen Readers group. That's very exciting. We're watching Lethal Weapon. That's what they picked. So, yeah. So, yay, handouts, yay. So the reason I get excited about June is because we talk a lot about goal setting, and we break. People are always like, "Well, what's that have to do with reading?" We talk a lot about reading. We do. We talk a lot about screenplay structure. We talk a lot about all of that. But we talk a lot just about lifestyle and being an entrepreneur. And because if you're a reader, you will be an entrepreneur. It means that you're going to be juggling your own schedule. That's the beautiful thing about it, right? You juggle your schedule. It's freedom of location, freedom of time. Hi, Jing. Hey, Shri. Movie night this week. So we really feel like if you want to be successful in anything, there's certain groundwork that you can do, and people get overwhelmed easily. And so we just want to kind of be that sounding board. So in June, now June begins like the last month of the first half of the year, right? So all of those New Year's resolutions that you made, we're going to be talking more about those later. So I'm not going to go into New June. We call it New June because what we want to do is kind of jumpstart. So this is sort of leading up to that. But with all of the summer blockbuster and Avengers and all of that, we thought, you know what? How can you avenge yourself? So this has to do with, I'm just going to kind of, look, see, there's the handout. You can't see it. See, isn't it nice? It's like totally blank. We're going to learn so much today. Can't find them. For those of you who've been here a while, remember when I used to always just like could not get my chair worked out? I have my chair worked out, sort of. No. Okay. New June, right? So it's New June. And then we do Happy Half New Year on July 1st because it's Happy Half New Year. Get it? And we have some really cool things already planned. Right, Shri? We have new things already planned coming down the pike. And so our Happy Half New Year this year is going to be really cool. That was the sound effect, in case you needed that. Awesome. Hey, Anson, what's up? Yeah, says Anson. Hi, Bonnie. Is that how you say it? I'm just assuming. I don't know. I'm back. Purple hair is back. Yes, it is. Because the play is over. Go back to I was like, she goes, come on. I was like, all right. Whatever. Like hair has never been, my resume says eyes blue, hair any. Because I really don't care. I have, someday we should just do a whole episode on hair disasters because I have like some really great hair disaster stories. Far too late in my life to be having hair disaster. I actually had one hairdresser say, I've seen hair jacked up like this before, but never someone of your age. Gotta stay young. That's what I say. So anyway, so what we thought we'd do today is we just did our big open enrollment period, and it always gets kind of crazy, and we get a lot of emails, thousands of emails, and people like, and so we try to do things to sort of respond to the emails that we're getting. So like this week we had the flash sale of self-starter system, which is it has to do with reading, because it has to do with getting yourself started and learning. You have to be a self-starter to be a writer, to be a reader, to be in this industry. You have to be a self-starter. You can't rely on other people. You need to like get out there. And sometimes that can be overwhelming, which is why we did the self-starter thing, to try to help people that were kind of struggling with that. So we're always kind of coming up with things. And now we have like Network Ninja, and we have coming down the pike, Pitch Like a Pro. Isn't that cute? I think it's super cute. Coming up with the names of things is like 90%. You know what business, having your own online business is? 1, links. It's all about links. And 2, naming stuff. So it's like, I don't know, what do you want to name it? Anyway, so in response to kind of people's response, we thought today a good topic would be avenging yourself. And it's because there's nothing worse, right, than the feeling of being powerless. Powerlessness is the thing that leads people into feeling depressed, lonely, like the sense of, and for those of us, like I'm talking about me here, that might have control freak issues, feeling powerless is really awful. And so a lot of the times people that are violent, or people that act out, or people that are mean, that's better. It feels better sometimes to act out and be mean than to feel powerless, right? A lot of bad behavior comes out of a sense of feeling powerless. And so we don't want you to ever feel powerless. So we want to give you some tips, tricks, whatever you want to call it, to help you like figure out ways that you can get your power back. Hi, Emily. Good to see you. Oh, I just blew up the screen by accident. Hi, Cindy. Show is over. Freedom. Sounds like a good character. Alliteration. Exactly. Pitch like a pro. Plastics. Build a Hollywood Gate Universe Empire. That's what we are doing. Let's take over the world. The world. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So breathe. Where's Stefan? Stefan's not here right now. He's the one. So like, take a breath. That's how I hear him. I'm reading it. That's probably not at all. He's probably like, take a breath. Take a breath. How many line readings can we do? Take a breath. Bubbly and knowledgeable. I'm like champagne. Is champagne knowledgeable? Hair fiascos. Hi, Sandy. Nice to see you. They kind of look like flamingos. I can say it. See, that's my mom's fault, because she used to make up words for things. Not helpful as a child. Aminals. Anyway, she taught grade school. You'd think she would know better. Anyway, so we want to come up with some ways for you in those moments when you're feeling powerless to get your power back. And it's a little bit different for everyone, which is why, if you didn't notice, we had pre-stuff to do. I think that's the first time we've ever done that, in preparation for ... That's new. So we will put that in the show notes too, or in the show notes on YouTube and in the comments on here, in case you didn't see the post, for y'all to figure out your personality type, right? Did we do it? The 16 personality types? Okay, lay them on us. What were they? The really fascinating thing to me was that, I'm not sure in Gatekeepers, I know in Screen Readers, it was like, I think maybe there was one person that was not an F. Interesting, right? Everyone's an F. And so we're all a bunch of feelers, I think, because we're writers. So that's kind of interesting. And most were N's too. Interesting. So a lot of the same. And I kind of knew there'd be a little bit of that, but far more than I thought there was going to be. But protagonist, and I used to be a protagonist. I took this a couple of years ago when we first started this. And why am I yelling? No, I'm yelling. Why am I yelling? Who's yelling? Who are you calling yelling? Anyway. So free stuff, yay. And now I'm not a protagonist anymore. I'm a campaigner, and I think it has to do with starting your own business. That changes your personality. I cracked myself up. Okay, so that was what, see, here we come. Here, look at all these N's, right? N. Mediator. That's an N, right, Sandy? Yeah, because you said up earlier. Oh, there's an S. Emily's an S. Yay for an S. But F. Real feelings. You know what? Every once in a while, well, so anytime I get a microphone in my hand, I can't help it. I have to go feelings. I do it at a city council meeting. I don't think you're supposed to do that. Whatever. People laughed. City council meetings are far too serious. Okay, anyway. So we're going to give you 10, my lord, 10 ways to count. I mean, things to do to get your power back. Advocates. We got a lot of mediators, a lot of advocates. And what's the one with the little wizard? What is that one? Is that a mediator? I don't remember. But there's one, a lot of people in screeners and were showing pictures of their wizard guy. Advocate. I think that's advocate. No, I don't know. I'm a campaigner. Should I run for office? Ugh, never in a million years. Okay. So, I know. Or is that, I know. The active degree is coming in handy. Okay. So number one, Lord. One of them kind of not easy. It's not easy, actually. It can be a real struggle. I've not been doing well with this the past couple of weeks, but it's to take care of yourself. Like, get enough sleep, drink water. I mean, sleep is amazing. And that's my biggest challenge, actually. I'm like 3 a.m. Doug, he's like, go to bed, go to sleep. But sleep, drink water, eat well, take care of yourself. And that often when you're feeling powerless is the first thing to go. Isn't it interesting when we are feeling, I'm going to turn off my email, sorry, so they're not distracting me and then dinging all the time. Sorry about that. It's interesting when we feel badly, we stop taking care of ourselves, which is the thing that will help us feel better. Interesting, right? When you're really feeling low, take a shower, get in the shower, just relax, take a shower. Like those kinds of simple things. Drink more water, rest, get away from people if you need to. Like just go outside, just kind of go back to basics. That's kind of, the groundwork of all the other things that we're going to say. But when you're feeling powerless and you feel like you're having consult, that's an S, right? I think it is. Ooh, that might be worth it. Run for office and you can sing feelings at the start of every meeting. It'll all be okay. No one will hate me if I do that. No one will be sick of that in a heartbeat. Wouldn't that be awesome? Every meeting. I'm going to run for mayor just so I can go. Anyway. I think it's funny. Well, he's not mayor anymore, but I have our mayor saying my son's name, going like, I have him on video saying, he's a mover and a shaker. So cute. Now my son's in Canada, being Canadian. I don't know. And then also reach out. So that's number 2. 1, take care of yourself. If you're, feeling powerless or you're upset about something, do some yoga. Yoga with Adrienne. She's my girl. Do yoga with Adrienne. Even if you can't do the yoga, just sit. I've had total moment of vulnerability here, where I've had sessions of yoga where I cry through the entire thing. I'm a crier. I am. I cry easily, and it's just kind of who I am. And the older I get, the easier it is to make me cry. So, and I cry in massages too. And the first time that happened, I was super embarrassed. And then I talked to my girlfriend. She's like, "Oh yeah, I do that every time." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's actually a thing." And the masseuse was like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it. A lot of people cry in massage because it's just that release, right? Same with yoga." Awesome. So yes, take care of yourself. Meditation, right? And yoga. She actually has some great meditations. So nothing's wrong with Canada. I just meant because the mayor was saying how great he was here and now he's being Canadian. That's all I meant by that. He's in Montreal and I absolutely love it there. So much so that I'm halfway through Duolingo learning French. That's how much I love Montreal. So not going to try it here yet. I have not had it. It's the only thing about Duolingo is it doesn't, I get it, I really butcher it and it still goes ding. Correct. Like that was, and sometimes I'm even laughing while I'm doing it because it's so bad. Ding. So the next thing to do is to reach out. You have us, you have this group, and it is I know it can sound weird, but if you just say, I'm struggling with ... I'm having a hard time with ... you will be amazed like how many people will just jump in there with you, like are in the same boat. And there's something about, whew, no worries. Canada is awesome. Exercise. Oh, you know what? I don't think I put exercise on here. I did not. That's one too. But yeah, going outside, exercising is a really, and sometimes it's interesting. It can be the things that you really don't feel like doing, which is an interesting thing, how we sabotage ourselves that way. So if you could just for a minute and then build on it. Hi, Joy. And then build on it, and then reach out into the tribe and say, I don't feel like exercising. That's all you have to say. And you'll get support. And sometimes it can be hard to reach out, but really it can. And then, I mean, you guys have helped me in many, many ways. You make me laugh, you make me think, plus thinking of things to kind of help other people helps me. It's awesome. And then listen to your thoughts, like listen to the things that you're saying to yourself. Do you say I can't a lot? Try to replace I can't with I won't. Like if you start saying I won't, then you realize how much you are just stopping yourself from doing something rather than saying it like I can't afford it. It's like, no, I won't spend money on that. Then it becomes a choice, right? So it's a little bit like you're not seeing it as an obstacle, you're seeing it as a choice, which is a much more empowering thing because then you can choose one way or the other. If you just put up the blanket, I can't, there's Henry Ford, like whether you think you can, you think you can't, you're right. That's an old saying. But if you just say I can't, then it's like this obstacle that's out here somewhere. But if you think the minute you think I can't, you think, no, I won't. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so what's that about then? Why won't you? Or what's the choice that you're making? And it empowers you. It's really cool. And then the other one that I think that a lot of people, and we talk about this in Self-Starter System, is what's wrong with me? I think a lot of people, I hear that a lot. I hear people say that, what the hell's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And that was a big one. Joy, back to emojis. I love emojis. I really do. Okay. Thanks, Joy. It's Joy's fault. I have a screenplay named Joy, but I just changed it to Faith because there's another screenplay that came out named Joy. And actually it turned out that Faith is a better name for it anyway. So also stay present. The more that you can worry when you're worrying about what's going to happen in the future and regret to me is like one of the worst emotions ever because it's such a sucker, and it's both of them are time suckers and energy suckers and pointless. Like regret, there's nothing you could do about it. It's done. Whatever you're regretting, you made the choice with the best tools that you had at the time. So to go back and regret something, it's just anytime someone is regretful about something, I just want to give them a big old hug because it's like it doesn't serve anyone. The person that you hurt, if you regret that you behaved some way with someone and they're still available, or even if they're not, but you could make amends to that. There's ways that you can go back and do that. But to feel regret about something to me is such a waste of energy. So staying present, like staying in that moment, and it can be really hard, but it's interesting too when you go through a challenge. If you're going through a challenge and you actually say to yourself, I'm just going to stay present right now. There's something sort of, the challenge helps you grow in a weird way. Like it helps you sort of learn because you might not be able to control bad things happen. Really bad things happen sometimes. And you might not be able to control that, but you can control your brain and what you do with that thing. So for the most part, sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes things happen to us physically that manifest in weird ways. There's all kinds of things, but in general, most of the time, how you react to it is the one thing that you can control. So it is like that mindset thing of like, you know what? I'm just not going to worry about what this is going to lead to. I'm just not going to think down the boat. If anything, in that moment when you start to worry, think about, okay, how can I flip that to what are some of the best case scenarios that can happen? Because your brain and your body don't know the difference. Your subconscious does not understand time. Your subconscious does not understand past and present. Your subconscious, so I'm going to get this big juicy lemon. See how quickly it doesn't even takes me 2 seconds. And we're writers and we're a bunch of N's and we're a bunch of F's. So to think about this, I'm going to get this lemon and you could see this lemon and you see like I cut it in half and you just see all this lemon juice coming out. I'm going to take it. I'm going to squeeze it in my mouth. I'm just going to fill my mouth up with that lemon juice. Like I can feel that, right? There's no lemon in my hand. My body does not know that's not a real thing. That's what worry is. Your body doesn't know that this thing, whatever is. So why not imagine the juicy lemon? Why not imagine millions of dollars or whatever your thing is, whatever. Why not imagine the love of your life? Why not imagine what is that going to taste and feel like and smell like? Like really viscerally put yourself there. If you're going to think forward rather than be like, oh, what about what? Think about, put yourself forward with the big juicy lemon. Making lemonade. Just saying. Have I seen Dr. Emoto's? Here comes our science girl. Emily is the science girl. If you didn't see the wrap party, just super. Have you seen Dr. Emoto's rice experiment? He says positive things to one jar of rice and water and negative things to another jar of rice and water. And the negative one turns moldy, right? Have you seen What the Bleep Do We Know? They do a whole experiment with water. Same kind of thing, like yelling at water. It is amazing. Barbara, I challenged myself to 144 flights of stairs in April after flights. I went, what the hell was I thinking? You were thinking, I'm going to do 144. You did it. Yes, that is amazing work, right, Sheree? You guys are so awesome. You love lemon juice, right? Lemon juice is awesome. You can smell that lemon. I can feel it. It's such a good analogy. It's such a great one. And at times when I'm just like, boo, 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 because, yeah, believe me, I have my own pity parties. Don't get me wrong. I really try to think about that lemon and go, okay, let's imagine something a little better. And my partner, the greatest partner in the world, he sent me the greatest picture today that I will share with you. And I absolutely love that he sent it to me. It's great that that's on his radar and he's sending me stuff like this. I love it. And so I'll share that later. Another really good one about business. Lemon is your favorite. Yay. What the bleep do we know? Just been listening to Joe Dispenza. Yeah, Joe Dispenza is amazing. And he has a great story. And actually there's a new documentary called Heal. Really interesting. I think it's on Netflix, I want to say. Really interesting stuff. And so the way that your body will react to things. And so the same way that you just felt that lemon, your body will react to stress in the same way too. And so, and I'm really, because I have see, look at me doing excuses of why it hurts. So I was a can-can dancer for a long time. I'm having trouble with my hips, but I know there's days when there's fine. And then there's days when I can barely walk, like literally can barely walk. And so then I'm like, okay, what's going on there? Something's like, my body doesn't, my thoughts, it's so connected. You're so connected. And that lemon analogy is such a great example of it. So listen. Yes, lemons are an antidepressant. And I think partly because they so bring out like, they're so visceral in a great way. So I think it's one of the only thing, garlic's another one, or not quite the same though, right? There's things that really like bring that kind of thing out. It's awesome. So take responsibility for yourself and for your environment. So often if we start blaming other people, it takes your power away. It might feel good in a way because it's like their fault, but then if it's their fault, where does that leave you? So if you take responsibility, even if you don't like, the fact that whatever you did led you to something that you're not happy with, at least it can lead you to making a change. And that's the one that I think people avoid and don't realize the goodness of that power of taking responsibility. Because you can go, you look around your life, everything in your life, you look at everything around you. It's like an example of some choice that you made along the way somewhere, in general. So taking responsibility for that at first might just be like, whoa, but there's something to that. And it does give you back more power. And there's more on the handout. There's more kind of details about this. And then listen. So kind of the general thing about taking care of yourself, exercising also, like what lights you up? Is it music? That's escapism. That's why we're here. That's why we're writing stories, right? That's why we're doing this. Go to the movies, watch something funny, listen to YouTube videos, listen to TED Talks. I mean, there's so much gold, and we're going to give you a couple of TED Talks to absolutely listen to. But there's just so many things. There's podcasts, James Wedmore. I'm going to give you another podcast today that's pretty amazing. So listen, surround yourself with things that light you up, with friends, with things that make you laugh, use those things. And then the other thing is practice the power of gratitude, practice power poses. We're going to talk about that TED Talk. Practice patience, patience, patience. Be patient, mostly with yourself. Be gentle. Practice being gentle. Practice these feelings and just practice those feelings, even if you're not feeling it in regards to the situation that you're in. So then if you've gone through something that's difficult, and or if you're in a difficult space, how have you dealt with another difficult situation where it came out okay? Practice the power that felt. Go back to that thing and practice that. There's so many. I mean, I just like, these were ones that I always, whenever I do these handouts, right, I always kind of write down all my thoughts. And then I go and I look at all the information I can find on this topic. And then I kind of weave it together. And it's also, I'm a voracious reader and I listen to podcasts. Like, it's kind of a little bit embarrassing how much I listen to podcasts. But responsibility is huge, right? Lemon and garlic and responsibility, they all go together. So and then in your environment, take responsibility for, how you're living. And there's, they say that your desktop like reflects your mind. It is like, I was kind of feeling overwhelmed a couple of days ago and actually just took like an hour and just cleaned for a while. And I felt so much better afterwards, just kind of cleaning up your environment. Getting rid of tchotchkes. It's not that bad. It's been worse. So yeah, I mean, but because I like things that make me laugh. And like, this was a gift from someone, so like try to keep things that are meaningful. This is a book my grandfather wrote. Anyway. So, oh no, this is going to go off on a grandfather thing. Yes. So that's, Amy Cuddy is a TED Talk that if you have not seen, it'll be in your handout. The link to it is in your handout. She talks about power poses. She is like the best. Her TED Talk, I think it's definitely in the top 10 TED Talks. I think it is my absolute favorite. Sean Aker, we didn't put that in here, but he has the Happiness Factor. He's another one, has an amazingly hilarious TED Talk. So it is J. Jonah Jameson. It is. It is. It is. Parker. See, this is how work should be. Okay, it's already 5:30. Okay, and then those are like well, can you see those? Yeah, they're like punching bags of J. Jonah Jameson. Anyway. Sorry. Okay. Should have been a preschool teacher. Yeah. Yeah, I like my tchotchkes. Is that how you spell that? Cleaning is a source of humor and uplift. Well, and I call it domestic podcasting. So when I clean, I always listen to something. But every once in a while, like especially if it's my desk or something that a space that I'm working in, I just try to unclutter it a bit, and sometimes that can make me feel better. And I've heard that it actually does. It might not in the moment, but when you come back to it, it can help you relax, help you feel less stressed. And then embrace. Embrace is another big one. Embrace your day. Embrace your job. There are things, and we talk about this in self-starter. It's just I do a big thing on it because it's like being able to come in a job that you hate and find the opportunities there, find the writers there, because I'm guaranteed no matter where you work, there's a writer there. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Like they're everywhere. They're everywhere. All those N's, all those F's, they're everywhere. So embrace it and learn, take whatever, one of the main things we talk about is with wherever you work, if you're not happy in your job, think about just for a split second, like, why did they create that company? What's the origin story of where you work? It's an interesting exercise because then it's like, oh, someone saw a need somewhere. This was, no one just creates something out of nothing for no reason. Usually something was inspired to begin with. So knowing the origin story can really help you sort of appreciate and be grateful that you have this job that's giving you this security so that then you can pursue other things if you're not happy there. So I am not one to say, quit that job and go read. No, especially reading, and writing too, it's so great because you can fit it between the cracks. It's not something that you have to quit to start. So you don't have to quit your job to start reading. You don't have to quit your job to start writing. You don't have to go away in a cabin and drink bourbon to be a writer. Just saying. And then kind of taking action, even if you're not feeling so great. And all of these are ways of taking action. So that's a big one, is being able to do any of these things, take that shower. But one of the things that works really well is to, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Text someone or send them a quick email saying, oh, you really helped me out the other day, or whatever. I really appreciate this about you. Like we did our 3 letters, or 2 letters. I did 2. Our letters, remember when we were talking about people that support you or people that you are proud of? Did you write your letters? So Jean's saying, if I can't find some little scripts I've started, I might start new, more comical ones instead of writing dramas. Yay, that's a good idea. I'm glad I'm motivating. Yay. You could write about these careers, and we're going to get to that in a second. Absolutely, you can write. You're writers, right? You have right in your NFiness, you have what so many people don't have. Like half the battle is done because you're a writer. That's such a skill. You have the skill. I mean, a lot of people, I remember taking a friend, because I'm always going to workshops, and I've always been that. I've always been a learner. I love learning. That's also another thing, like open yourself up to learning. That's on here too, because how beautiful is it that so many people have paved the way for us, right? There's so much to learn. And the more you learn, you just live longer. Like there's just so much to learn. There's so much. I'm learning French. There's so much to learn. Like to continue to do that. And so I took a friend with me once to one of these sessions, and we did the whole balance wheels, where I learned how to do the balance wheel, which you've done in here before. We get in the car. We've been at this thing all day long. She's doing all the exercises. She's like watching me. She's kind of struggling, but she's doing it. She gets in the car and she said, I have never once, she was like in her 50s. I have never once thought about any of this. Not once in my entire life. She's like, I've never written a word about my life. I've never written a thought that I think. The only writing that she's ever done is, business, or, how are you? Or she's never done any searching through writing, which is, right? Is that the most foreign thing you've ever heard? I was like, whoa. And yet we had, the reason I brought her is because we had so many kind of deep conversations over lunch or whatever. And we always just could talk forever. Like she's just one of those people. So I just assumed that she was someone who was a big seeker. Nope. I don't know if she never did it again with me. I don't know if she never said if she liked it or anything. It definitely made her go, wow, that was interesting. So really interesting, right? I drink bourbon. If I drink bourbon, I won't write. That's me too. Like I'm terrible. Yep. But the fact that you can write, it's like, absolutely, Jean, go write about any of that. Like the fact that you can write is such a gift, and be so grateful for it. And journaling, I don't even have journaling on here. It's a huge one. Journaling, and also writing, write today's date a year from now and pretend it's that day and all the wonderful things that happened. Like really start visualizing, write the scene, write your Oscar speech, write those things. Like seriously, why not? Why the heck not? That's all I have to say about that. And then then we're going to give you the handout because I barely tapped it. It says a lot more, but just know yourself. And that's why we had you take the personality test, because once you know yourself and you know the things that irk you, and then you know the reasons you're doing things, I think that therapy should be mandatory. We should all have to go to therapy. You should in your senior year, or maybe that's a little too young, but maybe like, everyone in college, like whatever, when you turn 25, it's a state mandate that you have to go into therapy. Because I think just knowing yourself and knowing the reasons why you do things, and when you hear these thoughts where you're like, what? Then you realize, oh yeah, that was, how many times people often say, oh no, I'm my mother. They have those commercials of the people turning into their parents, but and I'm writing a book about my grandfather. So I'm really starting to understand the life that my dad had growing up, which really gives me insight into the things that I struggle with or whatever because of what he went through. So like really knowing yourself, that's why we want you to do the personality test, because then you can have compassion for yourself. And then you can know, okay, this is what are my strengths? And that's how you avenge yourself, is you find what are those strengths? What are the things? And being a writer is absolutely a power move. Like it is a huge, huge secret weapon that you have. There's so many people when you talk to people that don't write about writing, they can't tap into that. It's a really interesting thing. And that you're able to do that is just going to serve you so well in so many things. So being able to understand the things that hurt you, or the things that stop you, or your obstacles, kind of knowing yourself gives you an opportunity to be compassionate and say, okay, these things, these personality things, and you kind of know these are the things that might trip me up. Then you can lean into your strengths. Lean into those strengths rather than, I think a lot of the times we think, oh, I'm weak in this area, I'm going to learn how to do that. Alyssa Dare Nelson is awesome. And she has a really amazing podcast called Freaking Awesome Entrepreneur. And she talks a lot about this, where rather than, trying to fix yourself, lean into the things that you're strong, that are your strengths, and then let those other things kind of fall to the wayside, and that you'll kind of live a more balanced, happier life. I love that. Don't worry, no worries. Do all writers who think they can write have the skills? That's what you worry about. So write about that. I think, it's so subjective, right? So someone might be able to write something that moves one person, and another person thinks it's, you've seen the Quiet Place debate that Mickey and I have had. I mean, and my mom used to say, it's a good thing everybody doesn't like everything. So it's a good thing we all don't like the same things. She used to say things like that all the time. And it is like, it just because who's to say what the skill is, and who's to say? We have things that we look for in a screenplay. We have things only because of the volume of people that come in, but it's also so subjective. And all of this is so subjective. And all the things that I tell you to do as a reader are my opinion. There's a million other ways you could do it, which is why we try to give you as many tools as we can in all these different ways. Do this course because some people need that structure. Be Anson and show up every week and do that thing. He's poster boy Anson. I'm making the table shake. But there's so many different ways that you can go. So one, ixnay on the Uri way. Is that how you say that? Totally dating myself with that. But and just write about the worry. Then write about it. Don't worry about your skill. For one, the greats aren't great because greats can paint. The greats are great because they paint a lot, says Ethel Moore. And it's so true. 10,000 hours. The more you do it, the better you get. It froze. Can I give this? Oh, yes, I can, Marla. That's a great question. Sometimes it's so hard it's hard for everybody. We're all in this big, thing together. Yes, can be really hard, which is why we're giving you these things. One step, tiny step. It's all just like building in tiny little things. Put them on the poster. We need to make an Anson poster. I'm going to give you those podcasts. I haven't forgotten, Marla. We all liked and did things the same way. We'd be Stepford wives and husbands. No? Maybe. Yes. So I'm going to give you a podcast right now, and I'm going to tell you a story that he told, which is interesting. So there's a guy named Jim Fortin, Fortin. He has a podcast called Transforming Yourself from the Inside Out. Relatively new. I think he's only on like his 15th episode. I found him through James Wedmore. Highly recommend James Wedmore. It's about business, but his mindset stuff is amazing. The One Thing is another good one. Oprah Soul Sunday. I actually don't listen to that, but a lot of people recommend it, and it's Oprah, right? I kind of like to hear people that aren't everywhere, even though James Wedmore is everywhere within the online space, but rather than celeb people, television people, I like to hear people that aren't in movies and television because I don't know why, just like inspires me in a different way. Eben Pagan has some amazing money things. He doesn't have a podcast though. Those are some of Amy Porterfield. If you're a business person, she has Marketing Made Easy, amazing podcast. Rick Mulready has an amazing podcast about how to do Facebook ads, but also he talks a lot about life things as well. All of them, and it's interesting as I learn and continue to move on. Stu McLaren, it's MCCLAREN. It's called A Tribe Thing, I think, his podcast. He's another one. But we're going to talk about the Jim Fortin podcast for a little bit because he basically talks about neuro-linguistic programming, and then he like mixes in a bunch of things, but basically he talks about your subconscious mind. So he tells this story. Hi, Sharon. He tells this story about one step at a time, right? Have you seen What About Bob? Thanks, Doug. I put all my peeps. He tells in this recent podcast episode, he tells this story about, he's talking about beliefs. And so knowing yourself, and this is another part of Know Thyself, knowing yourself and knowing your beliefs is a really smart way to kind of figure out. he takes it really far in that beliefs aren't really a thing. Like there is no such thing as a belief because we can all believe different things and we sort of all categorize each other based on our beliefs. Like we go into groups based on our beliefs. We all, we come on one side or the other based on a belief. And so if you can really understand what your beliefs are, then you can see what's tripping you up. Because if something's tripping you up, it's a story you're telling yourself. It's a belief that you have. And if you believe that money is the root of all evil, then you're going to have a hard time making money. If you believe, so it's like really kind of understanding, and you get those beliefs usually from parents, your environment, however you were raised. A lot of those times, we come in with some certain, everybody's a little bit different how they come in, but then we all kind of form and shape our beliefs based on the experiences that we have and all that. So his thing is like, okay, so get to the belief that you have. Try to figure out what is the limiting belief that you have about this particular thing. So whatever it is that's blocking you, and Doug and I, we talk about this a lot, and we have a mastermind that we all call each other on, oh, that's just your belief. You need to, we call each other when someone says something that's limiting, we're all like right on it with each other. And so much so that we all pretty much just call ourselves on it now, because it's like you hear it. When you start really listening to yourself and hearing the words that come out of your mouth, you can start to really go, oh, wait, that's not true. Like you can see that, oh no, this is just a belief I'm having and I need to kind of figure out my way through it. So that's what Jim Fortin's podcast does. So he talks about how this small town or whatever, and this guy rides through town, and then afterwards they get into a big argument about whether or not he was wearing a red hat or a black hat. And half the town is saying he was wearing a black hat, and then half the town is saying he's wearing a red hat as he drove through town, and they get this big argument. It's a metaphor, obviously. I don't know that this would become the topic of a town, but the idea is, and this happens though when in a he said, she said, this happens in your arguments. It's not like that. You don't know the truth. Tell the truth. You can't handle the truth. What's truth? Like, all of that. We get in these big arguments sometimes, and you stick to your guns because you know this is the truth. And these people are sticking to their guns because I saw it. I saw it was a red hat on the other side. I saw it was a black hat. Well, it turns out guy's wearing a hat that's red on one side, black on the other. So his point that he's making is that, people were sticking to a belief. But the thing that the place he didn't go with it that I was kind of surprised about is that, to me, when I think of that argument, okay, so yes, they all believed it was black. They all believed it was red. They were fighting each other on this. They were both right? Which is often the case when we argue with each other. So, but the thing that, to me, that he didn't miss, but he just didn't think of that wasn't the point he was making, is that they didn't know the other person's side. So a lot of times they're fully on this belief without seeing the other side of it. So they're not counting what they can't see. They're not counting the thing that would be the thing that would turn them around. So I think sometimes we get so hung up on, I think it's this, that we can't step back and go, but what's the other side of that? What is that out there? And is there another perspective? Like if I had simply walked across the street, my whole world would have changed. So, and I think being able to kind of take a breath and go, wait a minute. Often, if we don't know, like if you have an argument with someone and you don't know why they're behaving a certain way, you'll fill it up with a story. They don't like me, they're this. And he talks a lot about this, where you decide what someone thinks based on your own belief. Usually it has nothing even to do with that person. And so we make up stories about each other if we don't have the information. We just do that. So rather than doing that, to being able to step back, kind of go, okay, if I believe this, is this healthy? And is it tripping me up? And is it making me powerless? Because all of those people that are like, it's a black hat, they're limiting their power. You're limiting your power by limiting that belief and by not going, maybe there's another way. And then this last thing of the handout, and I don't want to take too much time, but the last thing about the handout is all of this applies. Everything we ever talk about getting yourself together applies to your characters and your screenplays. Your characters, when you write, are going to be so much better if you apply all of this stuff to your characters. If a character is depressed and they're sitting on the couch and another character says, hey, why don't you go outside? Like someone could be responding to me like, yeah, I'm sure there's days, and I have it too when I listen to podcasts. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. Think positive, blah, blah. And I'm just not in the space for it. And there's some days where I'm like, yeah, that's all I need to do. I'm there. It really kind of depends on where you're at in that moment, right? So really kind of, it's Jim Fortin, Fortin. Thanks, transforming yourself. Yeah, blue. Hi, Kathy. It's good to see Kathy. She's the one that calls me out on my limiting beliefs. Blue dress, gold dress, right? That's such a great one. It is such a great one. And I was alone. I forget which one I saw. Gold, I think, because that's all I can imagine. And everyone in my family saw the other one. And they all told me I was nuts until other people. It's not an unusual story in my life. You're crazy. And then someone else says the same thing and they go, that's a genius. Transform yourself from the inside out. Thank you, Marla, for Jim Fortin. Thank you for looking that up. So I really think the low. Oh, what does that mean again, Doug? He's told me this one. For some reason, it doesn't stick. Lock out. Spell it out. So yeah, so all of this, what is that? Now it's going to bug me. LOLO. Spell it out for me, man. Is the handout posted? No. No. What, you want the handout? Okay, wait. I have a handout and you actually want it. What's up with that? Just kidding. There you go. Think. Is that it? Oh. Almost cursed. Almost cursed right here. I'm up. Yeah, that's right. I got it. Lock on, lock out. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. Joy knows. I should know that one. But it is. You do. You lock onto something and you lock out other things that it might be, right? And then where are you? So there you have it. So the handout does go into greater details. And we also gave you, I gave you the, a really cool thing, quotes, brainy quotes about empowerment. So that's in there. The TED Talk, the Amy Cuddy TED Talk is there. The Jim Fortin podcast link is there. And the 16 personalities, so that you can get your personality test is there in case you haven't done that. So really, take a moment, get to know yourself. Blah, I can't get it anyway, says Report. That's the greatest name ever, Brack Patterson. That's like, you must be, have you done your personality test? Because that's a protagonist name. Such a good name. I love names. So there you have it. That's the handout for today. So find out what your strengths are, take your personality test, know what lights you up, and then act on that because that's your power position. Do the Amy Cuddy thing and try it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And she's amazing. And it chokes me up every time I say it because I'm a crier, like I said earlier. So, oh, wait, page not found. What? Hang on. Hold on. I got you. And we tried to do, hold on, let me just talk amongst yourselves. Let me get it for you. What was I going to say? So when you get the handout, when you look on there, you'll see that you can, there's a lot of, what we've done is we've categorized the different, hang on. See, this is why I don't multitask. We've categorized the different things. So we have being a reader and working in Hollywood. And so when you get onto that page, I talk to my computer, you do that. When you get onto the page, you'll see a bunch of other links as well. Okay, so let's try this, see if that works better for you. She says, confidence, try that. That's pretty good. That's some good multitasking I just did there. DIY Hollywood. So you'll see that we have all of the videos that are handouts that we think that have to do with, making a career in Hollywood. So you can kind of check it out. And then we have the YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed there, hundreds, I'm not joking, of videos on there about all kinds of topics. So, and they go back and forth. So when you're on the handout page, you can click on and it will take you over to the YouTube channel. We're on the YouTube channel. We're putting all the links in. We're still not quite done with that. We're putting all the links in that go back to handouts. So I'm trying to do as many handouts as possible with, why is it your boss? I'm just going to check this page for a moment. Yeah, Avenge Yourself. There it is. Okay. So, yeah. So that way you can go back and forth. We're trying to give you as many tools as we possibly can to make your life fun. Life's supposed to be fun. Cool. All right. So next week we're talking about, you're on your iPhone. You can't tap. You get report. Oh, I got you now. I'm with you now, Brack. That's weird. I wonder why that is. And you have this upside down smiley face. I like you more every minute. It's awesome. How do you do that? Emoji. Anyway, so next week, we're talking about action. We're going to talk about both in terms of an action script. What are the good elements of an action script? And we always try, and everything, even in the self-starter system where we're talking about, kind of how you can get past some of these limiting beliefs, we also apply it to your writing, because all of this has to do with, if you have a character that's not taking action, it's because they're not doing one of these things that we just laid out for you. And you can use these psychology tips, or however you want to, categorize them, to inform your characters, and their characters will be more real. And then, Elaine, you won't have to worry anymore, because the characters will be so real because you're applying things that people can relate to them. So I hope that makes sense, and hope you're enjoying it. Let us know in the comments. Let us know, just keep on keeping on. I'm seeing some cool things happening. Keep sharing. Keep telling us what comments you want to talk about, and we will be back next week. I don't think there's any more announcements. Nope. Next week with action. All right, guys. Have a good week, and we will see you then. You guys are awesome. Target. Love it, Brack. So you think you have to wait and click after it's over? Thanks, Toy. Thanks for joining us. We will double check and make sure, and don't worry, we'll put the handout. Maybe we'll do it separately too. So we'll put the handout in there so you guys can be sure to get it. So Bonnie, your iPhone does that too. Write it down. Go to Hollywood Gatekeepers, or Bollywood. I think she means Hollywood Gatekeepers. Won't be in class tomorrow, graduation. Yay, thanks for today. Awesome, Bonnie. So we'll see you next week. All right, we'll see you at movie night. Okay, thanks you guys. Talk to you soon.